Did you hear Slates with the morning roast?
I did.
You did? Did you hear him say this?
Like, it sounds like because of the way Moody performed when Wiggins was out, he wants to give Moody a rotation chance, even with the full roster available. That's still, if you're the 10th, 11th man, that still might be like 8-10 minutes. But that's still, is that taking, like, is Saric now a DNP? Like, that's one of my questions.
Right.
Looney has this incredible games played streak, second in the league behind Mikal Bridges. DNP would end that. Like, is that possibly heading toward an end? Is it absurd of me to say, like, Peyton might be on the edge right now? I mean, he can be so good, but, like, you got to find somebody.
Anthony Slater suggesting that Dario Saric and Kevon Looney could be DNPs tonight or soon, if not tonight. Those are candidates, and those are the guys that you threw out there last night that might sit down. I don't think you're wrong. Obviously, you're right with what you said yesterday, and Slater is suggesting we might be headed that direction. Boy, I'm going to be looking at that tonight, though, because this is a wee little tiny basketball team.
Right, you said that yesterday.
If you decide that those are the two guys that are now going to get knocked out of the rotation. We're sitting here, Wiggins is back, and our whole conversation yesterday about, boy, how come he doesn't rebound like he did 2 years ago? Well, he better now. If you're going to start taking all those guys out of the lineup, Podziemski and Wiggins and obviously Draymond are going to have to be maniacal rebounding the basketball. You'd be the smallest team in the NBA and it wouldn't be close.
Yeah, and that becomes a huge problem, not only in rebounding, but defending some of the bigs that you're going to face down the road here. I don't know if it's as much of a factor tonight against Milwaukee. No Middleton, don't know about Giannis, and Lopez is more of a perimeter big. He's not a guy who's going to absolutely dominate you down low, but if you talk about a 9-man rotation for Steve Kerr and you start to crunch the numbers, you run out of spots pretty quickly. And if it's TJD and Looney and Saric, and you start to think about which of those big men might not play at all, I would probably play Looney over Saric, and TJD for me is still a guy who's probably your 11th or 12th man no matter what. Now,
see, I got him in before those two.
See, I don't. I don't because Kevon Looney, to me, is a much more reliable player. He maybe is the most reliable player in the association. Now, it doesn't mean that he's got a tremendous ability to elevate, move, or explode, but when you play Kevon Looney, you know what you're going to get. And if you're Steph and Clay and Draymond, you want that reliability as opposed to playing alongside a youngster who, I mean, TJD's a rookie. He's still learning how to be a reliable, consistent big in the association.
Right, but when you say, like, you know what you're going to get, I mean, sometimes I would rather have a little bit of the unknown with what I'm going to get in exchange for the firepower and the bounce that provides. Like, when you say with Kevon Looney, you know what you're going to get, I bet that everybody listening to you had multiple reactions to that idea. Oh, you know what you're going to get. And some of them were like, yeah, not much. I mean, I hate saying that because there's nobody we love more than that guy. He has not given the Warriors very much this year. He just has not.
Right.
He has not.
He does give, outside of what the box score would tell you, is he's always in the right spot. He sets terrific screens. He's not going to turn it over if you flip him the ball. And if you're Steph and Clay and those guys, that's really important to you, the screen setting and the reliability. I'm not going to sit here and stump for Kevon to get 28 minutes a night. And I do think that his games played streak, that's a thing.
No doubt. I agree with you there. I agree.
And Slates, as he pointed out, he's second in the association behind Mikal Bridges, who played 83 games last year inexplicably. The guy's got the longest streak of games played in the NBA. I do think that if it's going to be close, you got to play Kevon to keep that streak alive until he's got a complete liability, which he's not.
I do remember into the playoffs last year when there kind of became a thing about who's playing and who's starting in the minutes and how are we kind of doing this. And Steve sat down with the vets and with the big three and was like, what do you guys think? And they went, Kevon. You got to go with Kevon. Right. So I'm totally catching the vibe of what you're saying. I just can't get out of my mind the way he looks this year. He looks like he aged 5 years overnight.
Boy.
And he's 28. He's the oldest looking 28-year-old in the NBA by far. Like, he doesn't look flexible. He has a hard time finishing at the rim. So offensively, the screens that you talk about, that's pretty much what you get. You get the screens.
Oh, such great screens.
I'm looking for more screens, aren't we? Like, I mean,
right.
You know? And yes,
he plays good defense.
Be in the right spot, be a good rebounder, but like, unfortunately, there is very little, possibly nothing dynamic about what he's able to do out there. TJD, that's a different answer. That's a different answer. And for everybody who's been thirsting for a big and for a rim runner and a shot blocker and a finisher, Chris Paul with a lob, all of that stuff, like, come on, man. TJD offers that. And so, listen, we're back into riding the line again in terms of winning versus development. Looney and TJD is another example of that exact conversation.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with what you know, or do you want to go with upside who might make a mistake here and there? Warrior basketball has always been what you're suggesting. Go with what you know. But it's adjusted a little bit in the last 2 months. It really has.
It's adjusted, but it's adjusted to players who have, and I'm going to borrow from Smith Barney and say they've earned it.
He hasn't?
Not to that level, no.
TJD hasn't earned a look each
he's
night?
earned a look.
Yeah.
He's earned a look, but he has not earned to where Podziemski's earned it. He starts now because he's earned it.
That's 30-plus minutes.
Kuminga's year 2 because he's earned it.
Right, but that's 30-plus minutes. I'm talking about, like,
I know what you're saying.
There's a dynamic that he presents that nobody else provides, and I think you
in
need
the front court.
You need it for at least a handful of minutes every night. That's what I
also think that what Kevon provides, and if we're talking about a 12-minute-a-night guy here. Either way, TJD this year is averaging, when he plays, he's averaging 13 a night. Kevon's averaging 17 minutes a night. We're talking about the ninth man now. So this is not something where I'm going to dig my heels in and fight with you until we shoot our shot because it's all we've got. I do think that there are pros and cons, though, to each. Yes, TJD is your leading shot blocker, and he provides the threat of a rim run. Rebounding-wise, they're about even. Defensively, I think Kevon overall is a better defender. He knows where to be. He doesn't make the same mistakes. He sets better screens, but he's not near the offensive threat. So it comes down to, what do you want out of that ninth man?
I think also, and we deal with this a lot in Warrior basketball. This is kind of a new thought that I think is something you're touching on. And with Warrior basketball right now, we deal a lot. We just dealt with it with Brandon Crawford, and some people criticize the Giants. We deal a lot with emotion. And the emotional part of moving off of a player that has earned greatness in this town, even the role players, like a Kevon Looney. Steve Kerr touched on this a few weeks back when we had him on, and I asked him about the whole Looney situation, and listen to the way that he answered it.
I don't think Loon has a bigger fan than me. I mean, what this guy's done for us over the years, both on the court and in our locker room, just the leadership, who he is as a human being, the example he is for our young guys. He's amazing. He's an amazing guy, and he's meant so much to us. So this has been a hard thing for me to go away from him. I think what's happened is just the evolution of our team. How things have transpired, the way we started the year with a lot of guys struggling. It really impacted Loon, and it impacted his ability to stay on the floor. We've just had to open up the floor and get more spacing, more speed in order to survive, and that's the bottom line. I mean, the league has changed, over the years, but it feels faster than ever right now and more wide open than ever. You see some of these scores, 148 to 140. I mean, it's just a sign of where the game is and where things are going, and the way our team has kind of transpired. It's just been harder to find combinations to really put Loon in the best position for him to succeed. So it's rough because, like I said, he's my guy, and doesn't mean he's not going to make an impact. I still think he will, but things have turned away from him for the time being.
You know what the most damaging part of that entire statement was for Kevon Looney is when he said the league has gone away from
Yes.
what Looney does. So this isn't just like, oh, it's not working for this kind of circumstantial. Like, I take those statements and I'm like, I don't know if Kevon Looney is ever really going to have a major presence on the Warriors ever again.
In the league again.
Or maybe ever in the league
in the league again. And this is where, and I don't want to get into the offseason because you and I agreed we'd take it one game at a time. Warriors Live with the Grandy Man, I believe, or
coming up
could be E-Dog. 7 o'clock. Is it the Grandy Man?
It's Evan today.
It's Evan.
It's an
okay.
Evan
I saw him lurking, so I wasn't sure which way we were going. But
sorry, Granny.
we're going to take it one game at a time. He gets his touches. He gets his chance. He'll shoot his shot tomorrow. That's all he's got.
Just stay ready, Grandy. We're going to come to you. You're out of the rotation tonight, but just stay right there, okay?
Yeah, I'm Moses Moody.
He's totally Moses Moody.
You always handle it professionally. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He really
Dibs.
does, actually.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like Mark Grandy, I respect him.
Yeah.
And there's a drop for that somewhere, and I'm sure he'll fish it out. But I think about the future of Kevon Looney as a player because his option for next year is not fully guaranteed. I don't think the Warriors will bring him back. It'll be a painful thing. And I don't know what sort of a market there is for a 52-year-old, 28-year-old.
Well said.